In 2 weeks, we're about to experience something that none of us have seen before in our lifetimes. I'm talking about the Great Conjunction in Aquarius, happening on December 21st, 2020. This is a monumental alignment that astrologers have been waiting for years, if not decades. Today, I'll talk all about what it means and why it's such a life-changing event. First, what is the Great Conjunction? This is a rare event where Jupiter and Saturn will meet up together in the exact location in the sky. They will align, and it's basically going to look exactly like this. This is a chart for December 21st, 2020. You can see this is Saturn here, and this is Jupiter, and they will be at the same location at 0 degrees of Aquarius. This is the Great Conjunction. This event happens every 20 years, and the last time it happened was in May of 2000 in the sign of Taurus. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking right now, why is this so special if it happens every 20 years? Don't worry, I will get to all of that at the end. First, we need to understand the meaning of this alignment. The Great Conjunction represents the start of a new cycle. It brings about a new way of life. It basically says that every 20 years, we experience a new era for society. To understand why, we need to take a look at the historical context. In ancient astrology, Jupiter and Saturn were considered to be some of the most important planets because they were the largest planets in our solar system, and they were also the last planets in our solar system. Remember that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they were not discovered until at least 1780 and beyond. So to the ancient astrologers, Jupiter and Saturn were the edge of the galaxy. I mean, they were like the cosmic gatekeepers. That's really why it's called the Great Conjunction. Being the last two planets, Jupiter and Saturn were given rulership over the pillars of society. Saturn ruling the foundation of society, like structures, institutions, leaders, governments, and Jupiter ruling the ideals of society, like laws, belief systems, moral codes, and religion. Every time these two giants meet, they ask us to reimagine society. Ancient astrologers used the conjunction as a way to mark societal eras, like to predict the rise and fall of royalty or to understand cultural trends. They saw this as a time when an old system would die and a new one would begin to take shape. This is what we're heading towards now. An old system or way of being is dying and a new one is being formed. Really, all of 2020 has been marking the end of an old system, so it's almost no wonder that things have been so chaotic. We are about to experience a very powerful beginning on the 21st, and the theme will be Aquarius. We can expect Aquarian ideals and systems to start taking shape and to start rooting into society in the next 20 years. Now, what will that look like? There are 4 key pillars to understand when it comes to Aquarius. First is independence and authenticity. Aquarius is the rebel of the zodiac, and it's all about going against the mainstream. Aquarius wants to be weird and different and unconventional. I mean, it literally wants to rebel against society. So this is what we're all called on to do for the next 20 years, to find our inner rebel. Weird is literally going to be in. We all need to become more authentic and more true to ourselves, even if other people don't like it. And honestly, if other people don't like it, that's probably a sign you are on the right track. We all need to learn how to become more independent and also separate ourselves from the system, because that is how we can create a better community and better society that is more inclusive for everyone. And that is the second pillar of Aquarius. Aquarius is all about the community. It is a very group-oriented sign and it has strong humanitarian ideals. It really wants to do what is best for everyone, not just the 1%. So Aquarius will bring power to the people, and society will start implementing these ideals in a much bigger way. Over time, we might see that our schools, workplaces, even governments start to become more decentralized and more self-regulated. Definitely less of a hierarchy and more of a collective group effort. The cultural trend is going towards the bottom up, not top down. Third, Aquarius is all about innovation and invention. Aquarius is kind of like the bad scientist of the zodiac, and it's very good at seeing things through a different lens and coming up with new solutions. So definitely expect to see technological advances. I mean, even like quantum leaps in certain areas of life, probably especially around energy, communication, networking, and travel, with Aquarius being an air sign. With this, definitely the internet comes to mind for me, a very Aquarian thing. Over the next 20 years, we might see that it is totally revamped or even done away with completely for a different system. I mean, anything is possible under Aquarius. Finally, the last key pillar to understand about Aquarius is knowledge and truth. Finding out the objective truth, whether it's about society or our history or ourselves. It's time to get to the truth. And with this, I definitely want to emphasize that this information should mostly come from the bottom up, like not top down. Because again, it should not be something where it is being told to us by the higher ups or people in charge. It should be discovered by us. So please keep that in mind as we are hearing certain truths about things over the next couple of years. Something that I am personally really excited about in this space is the science of consciousness, which I've talked to you guys about before. But really this understanding that our brains can perceive things outside of our own reality. And with that, I think a lot about how, like the neural networks of our brain, they're quite similar to the internet in a concept, the decentralized networks of the internet. So it just gives me a question about whether in the next 20 years, we will eventually realize that our brains are the internet, basically. Like they are this infinite resource that can tell us anything and everything. Just a thought, but something that I'm really excited to hear more about in the coming years. Now, finally, let's discuss what makes this particular great conjunction such a monumental and life-changing event. And it's not because it just happens every 20 years. It goes much deeper than that. Great conjunctions always happen in waves through the elements. So what I mean by that is that they spend many years aligning in signs of a certain element. The elements, of course, being fire, earth, air, water. They spend many years in one element, and then they switch over. As you can see here, in the last 200 years, Jupiter and Saturn have met in earth signs. We have been in an era of earth. Now, starting in 2020 and then going for the next 140 years, they will align in air signs. This is the life-changing shift. None of us have seen this kind of thing happen before, and we will never see it again in our lifetimes. It's really like we're seeing a major chapter close when it comes to humanity. You can see the era of Earth has really coincided strongly with the Industrial Revolution that we just went through. So we have been in a cycle that has been heavily focused on mining and producing resources and gaining wealth out of Earth's resources. With that have come other Earth values like production, consumption, consumerism, land ownership, wealth accumulation. This is the larger cycle that is now coming to an end. Starting in 2020, we're going to experience a global shift into air energy. And just like the name sounds, air is not physical. It is not material. I mean, it's kind of the opposite of that. The two important pillars of air are information and ideas, and communication and collaboration. So it really represents things that are much more intellectual rather than tangible, and much more people-oriented as well. This is the way of being that we are moving towards for the next 140 years. It's not like that the earthbound things are going to just die off necessarily. I mean, at least not right away, but it will soon become clear that we are moving towards something different. So with the era of air, we can definitely expect to see major dramatic changes in how we communicate. So of course, inventions, new technology that will replace our cell phones, our computers, Zoom, things like that. We will also see dramatic upgrades in transportation and travel. I mean, maybe we'll even get to space travel. Remember that this spans the next 140 years. We can also expect to see dramatic upgrades and changes in the ways we collaborate and share resources. Perhaps something like communal living. Also, definitely expect to see upgrades in how we produce energy, because we will absolutely be moving away from the earthbound things like oil and coal. Basically anything that makes money from digging up the earth or controlling the earth, like its resources, will no longer be as profitable anymore. I mean, it's just going to be an old way of life. It's going to be much more profitable to share information, to teach things, to collaborate with others. Collaboration and information is the new way of the future, and we're going to start feeling these energies really strongly now. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And definitely stay tuned, because in just a few days, I will be posting another IGTV video. This one will specifically be on what to expect and what not to expect from the 21st itself. So that is coming to you soon. And then next week, I will be uploading a YouTube video. This is specifically on the age of Aquarius, which is going to be a 2,000-year cycle. So that is next week's YouTube video. Finally, I'm going to be saving all of these information videos, posts related to the Great Conjunction and to the age of Aquarius. I'll be saving them all in a highlights bubble called Age of Aquarius, so you guys can refer back to it later. Okay, that's all for now, but until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.